Right then, brothers and sisters, today I have the very specific thing to get ready for, which is a photo shoot today, but I would like to tell you, while I'm doing this, about somebody I just found out about, and oh my goodness, if anything, Anyway, I'm here to tell you, while getting my face done, as per usual, about Julie Daubeny. You will love her by the time we are done, just to warn you. Credit where it's due, I got most of this handed on to me by a friend of mine, Carl Noble, and I've literally just read about this woman, so I'm taking most of it from one article I'll credit them properly in the full video, I suppose. Julie was rock and roll before rock and roll was even dreamt of. She was everything. So we're not even 100% sure if her name was Julie. It's thought that it was Julie, or it could have been Julia, could have been Emily. The one thing that can be agreed on is that she was French. Was she as cool as Jeanne de Clisson? I don't know. It's a pretty damn close competition, mate. Let's put it that way. When she's born, she's kind of already sort of well-to-do. This is in the late 1600s that she is born. So with her privileges, she has quite a good education. She is able to learn to read, she can probably sew, she can draw, but also she learns one particular thing that is not considered very ladylike when you look back on certain historical things, but it is the one thing that will define most of her life, and that is dueling. Yes, mate, this femme doesn't half know her way around a sword. She's only 14 when she becomes her father's employer's mistress. Sorry, I've got to get my neck right, and for that I need a proper dedicated mirror. Her father, in order to protect her reputation, he basically arranges for a marriage for her. She'll get married to this Sieur de Maupin, which is why she later becomes known as Mademoiselle Maupin, under the guise of being a honest woman, being a married woman. She can carry on her affair with the Count. Oh yes, did I mention that bit? That bit's rather important. The person that she's having this affair with is sort of master of the horse. He's called the Count d'Armagnac. So the day after this wedding, this Sieur de Maupin, so it is said, he gets sent away on some kind of administrative position. Obviously, the Count wants him out of the way so that he can carry on with the 14-year-old Julie. After a little while, Julie decides that actually she wants bigger and better, thank you very much, or she at least needs some excitement in her life. So she leaves the Count behind and she goes off with one of her fencing teachers. They flee to Marseille. I wish I better knew how to pronounce all of these French words. One of the ways in which she makes money during this time is that her fencing teacher and herself, they're making quite a bit of money as performers. Julie is both fencing with this master of hers, and she's also singing, and she is incredibly good at it. And here is the point at which she kind of levels up with her badassery. Around this time, when she was performing all her duels on stage, she would have been dressing as a man. Julie was billed as a femme, down for their performances, but there is reports that one gentleman is in the audience and he's watching their show and he shouts up that he doesn't believe that she is a woman because no female could fight as well as she does. Well, Julie's not having this. And she turns towards the audience, she opens up her blouse completely, and the gentleman falls silent. Oh God, I love big eyebrows. More so even than dueling, she starts to be billed as an opera singer. And apparently she is absolutely phenomenal. She can't read a lick of music, which is apparently like a lot of opera singers of the time, but she can memorize anything. She apparently has the most outstanding memory for music. So if you think her life is already kind of cool, it's about to get even crazier. Now, we don't have the name of who her lover was, but records are quite conclusive in the fact that the next person that Julie fell in love with was a woman. This is apparently a young femme, and Julie, not being somebody who, given the fact that she can take anybody in a duel, is not backwards about coming forwards. She does nothing to hide the fact that she is head over heels for this young femme. Now, kind of understandably, given the time and stuff, her parents are appalled, not Julie's, this young femme's, and so they put her in a convent to keep her safe and pure, no doubt. But Julie simply saw this as a challenge. I really want to put blue on, but that's not natural enough. I'll wait till the end and see how it looks. Julie follows her love to Avignon, where the convent is that she's going to be in. She herself takes holy orders and becomes a nun. So they're in there for a little while, trying to figure out how they're going to get out of this situation. And then one of the elderly nuns dies. They take this poor nun's body, they put it in the girl's bed, they set fire to the convent and escape. So when the courts finally discover the truth of what the frack is going on here, in absentia, they actually sentence her to death. However, in this court happening, oh look, oh, I've got a contouring thing. She was actually tried as a man. And we don't know if that's because they simply couldn't conceive that a femme could do all this, or because it would have saved the shame that would have come to the young lady's family about being lesbianic. The Middle Ages, man. FML. I literally have no idea what I'm doing. This might be terrible. After a little while goes by, oh cripes, 3 months, in fact, Julie and this young lady have already, now that there's no threat, now that there's nothing keeping them apart, apparently they grow bored of each other and the relationship dies away. She decides that she's actually going to go to Paris and become an opera singer, like you do. The problem is that the death penalty is still out against her. Do you remember the Count d'Armagnac, the person who she started out as his mistress? She goes to him and basically says, so, yeah, here are the things that I've been up to. Would you mind terribly having a word in the king's ear so he doesn't chop my head off? But he agrees. He goes to the king. He goes to Louis XIV and basically says, so this is how it is. And apparently Louis XIV is so tickled pink by what she's been up to that he completely quashes the sentence. So Julie has basically set herself up her best life. She has become an opera singer. You know, she had a master for that. He was her lover for a little point. Then she was a lover with another opera singer and she tired of him. And basically she just lives her life how the stuff she wants to. She's singing, she's having affairs with men and women, she doesn't give a crap. She's playing these amazing roles and she just is completely unapologetically living her life how she wishes. This is not just, you know, like out of the ordinary. This is not just kind of like, you know, dash your fan up and down because it's quite outrageous. This was completely unheard of. I mean, this is France, but still, you don't live like that. That's just not the done thing. But she didn't give a crap. She just wanted to do what she wanted to do, which was sing and men and women. One lovely story from her opera singing days is when one of her fellow actors made advances on her and she was not interested. So basically he calls her a slur. Not a very nice one. After a performance one night, she waits around for him. She has a cane with her. She beats him senseless completely by herself and she steals his watch and his snuff box from him. Now, the next day, in he comes, and of course, he's black and blue, so he has to explain why in the hell he looks so bad, and he says that he's been set on by all these muggers, you know, the usual story, there were 5 of them, and then the next minute there were 10 of them, and then there were 15! And of course, Julie is sort of standing around listening to this, and she literally produces his watch and his snuff box. to prove that in fact it was her and you're a damn liar, mate. And apparently he got laughed off stage. Oh my god, I love these stories about her. There is another one wherein she goes to a ball and she is dressed as a man. She's been doing this for a long while, by the way. She's been cross-dressing her entire time, probably because she didn't want to be constrained by the BS that men have tried to make us do for God knows how long out of mind. But basically, while she's at this ball, she kisses a lady there. She is instantly challenged to a duel by 3 different men. She accepts their challenges. She fights all 3 of them on the banks of the Seine in the moonlight, and it's not known exactly what happened, but basically she beats them. She might have even killed 1 or 2. How could you not love this woman? But here was the problem as well. You see, dueling in such a way, in challenges such as this, was seen as an affront to the court of law, and so had been declared illegal. In some cases, it was punishable by death. So once again, poor Julie is looking at the hangman's noose, or did they have Madame la Guillotine at this point? Who knows? Do tell me if you do know, genuinely though. She flees. She goes to Brussels and she becomes the Elector of Bavaria's lover for a little while. She proves too much for him and he offers her 40,000 francs to leave. She is so insulted that she throws this amount back at his groin and she leaves. And she goes to Madrid. In Madrid, she becomes a lady's maid to the Countess Marino, and the 2 ladies absolutely detested each other. It's said that they hated each other so much that the night before she left, Julie actually fixed up her mistress's hair with radishes. Now, of course, there's no particular way of knowing if that story is true, but I, for one, I could well believe it, considering everything that we know about this woman so far. It does not sound beyond the realms of possibility. And let's be fair, if the worst you've got out of an encounter with this woman being on the wrong side of her is to just get a few radishes in your hair, you've come off rather well. Men have died. I'm worried about doing too much more, but I've still got story to do. She gets a pardon from her dueling on account of somebody saying, well, these laws actually only state a man. And this person is not technically a man, and so she's able to sidestep it again. Oh, mate, you men have been accidentally screwing yourselves over for years and you didn't even know it. So she tries her best after all this wandering and stuff to settle down after a little while. She even goes back, and believe it or not, she actually lives with her husband for a little while, this Sieur de Maupin, which is where she gets her name, Mademoiselle Maupin, not Lapin, it's a rabbit. But she still lives how she wants to. She still brawls with other actors, she fights them, she'll duel, she don't care. She stabs herself with a real dagger during a stage performance. She threatens to shoot a duchess. She attacks her landlord, and she even bites her old friend Thevenard. Well, I think he was a lover as well, but she bites him so hard on stage one night that she draws blood. I love her. Let's try a very subtle blue, shall we? Along comes Madame de... Oh, cripes, let me get this right. Madame la Marquise de Florensac. And I know my pronunciation was awful. I apologise wholeheartedly, but the most important thing to take away was this was the most beautiful woman in France. And Julie just fell for her hook, line and sinker. Considering that Julie would stay, like, literally a couple of months, if you were lucky, with each of her partners, they lived in perfect harmony and apparently were completely and utterly in love with each other for like 2 years. And then Florensac gets a fever and dies. Now, if you don't love this woman yet, understand this, because you can see her heart beating in this, because all of those fracking duels, all of the brawls, everything, right? She survived all that, but with Florensac's death, this beautiful woman who is apparently the love of her life, she just goes into a decline and she just doesn't want to anymore. She retires from the opera in about 1705 She's thought to be maybe in her very early 30s. She enters a convent, and by the time she would have potentially been 33, no records of what happened, but she has died. So history naturally tries instantly to forget her as much as possible, but of course some records have survived. One thing that is said to be a quote of hers is, "I am made for perils as well as tenderness." Oh my god, that's sexy. So that was the story of Julie d'Aubigny, also known as Mademoiselle Maupin or simply La Maupin, the openly bisexual, cross-dressing duellist who didn't give a frig. She lived her life how she damn well wanted to, and if you got in her way, you probably found yourself at the wrong end of a sword, mate. And you know what? I love her for it. I am made for perils as well as tenderness. I need to write that quote down. I think that's going to be my new favourite quote for the rest of this year. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me while I told you about Julie. I hope that she seemed... Oh, I left a thing in my hair. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You can tell that I'm not used to using all this kind of stuff, can't you? Have a great day. I'm off to get my headshots done. And I'll see you another time, probably to talk about another historical femme that you definitely need to know about. Take care.